So man, we at Kelly Park. This is the home of, some would say, Eazy-E, where he grew up at, or his neighborhood. And some would say NHP neighborhood. I don't know. I'll let y'all debate it in the comment sections because everybody go back and forth. Man, one of the craziest shootings / homicides happened at this location. And I know Fred, Reggie, and Bob, you're all familiar with this incident because we called it around the police station when I was a young pup. Black Sunday, right? Bloody Sunday. Fred, tell us what you remember about Bloody Sunday.
It happened April 2nd, 1989 in the afternoon. If you can see over here, this park, it was filled with people. There's probably 150, 200 people there. They were barbecuing, kids were playing, people were on the basketball court, playing basketball. There were cars parked along the curb line, and this neighborhood that we're in it's the Kelly Park Crips neighborhood, right? Down to my left, there's another neighborhood called the Atlantic Drive Crips, and they get along together, right? They align themselves against the Santana Block Crips, the Southside Crips on the east side of town. Well, what happened on this particular Sunday? There was a car parked on the curb in front of this. This is Kelly Park, and on the other side there was a substation for the Compton Police Department, and it was usually manned by a uniformed police officer and a security officer. Well, on that Sunday, there was only a security officer there. The uniformed police officer was off. It was his day off. So what happens is a caravan of cars come down the street. They're going westbound on Caldwell. And one guy leans out he was in a white Cadillac. He leans out of the car, out of the window, and he's sitting on the windowsill, and he's got an AK-47 with a banana clip in it, 30-round banana clip in it. He sees a rival. The guy that he sees is a member of the Atlantic Drive Crips. His name was Earl Solomon. They called him Hulk. He's talking to two girls in a car parked on the curb in front of the substation. There are 3 kids in the car from ages from 4 to 9. The guy on the windowsill, his name was Paul Watson. They called him Potato Head. He's a member of the Santana Block Crips. They were at war with the Kelly Park and the Atlantic Drive Crips at the time. The cars drove by these 2 innocent young ladies and their kids, and Hulk, who was talking to one of the young ladies, and Paul Watson opened up fire with that AK-47. He must have shot 20 times. He shot the car, he shot Hulk in the head. Hulk died right there on the curb. One of the young ladies in the car got shot in the face. And I don't know if you've ever seen what damage that an AK-47 does to the human body, but if you get hit in the head with an AK-47, pretty much your whole head is gone. And this young lady, rest in peace, her whole half of her face was blown off in front of these 3 kids that are in the car, okay? Like I said, it was a caravan of cars, so they took off westbound. One of the young men that lived in this neighborhood, if I remember correctly, I think they called him Chico. He grabbed a gun and he got in his car. He had a .45. He got in his car and, he gave chase. And with a .45 going up against an AK, for him to do that, he had balls of steel because he was clearly overmatched, but he went after him anyway. He chased the car, shooting at the car, trying to get him stopped. But there were other cars with the caravan. They maneuvered around Chico's car and they started shooting at Chico. Chico got shot in the head, okay? Wasn't with an AK-47 because he wouldn't be alive if the guy with the AK-47 would have shot him. The other members of the Santana Block Crip in the caravan, they were armed with 9mm and smaller calibers. So Chico got shot in the head. I believe he's blind to this day as a result. He ends up crashing and the shooters, they all get away. We start getting a lot of tips. I know Reggie and Bobby, they got tips who the suspects were. We figured it out pretty quick because a guy, like I said, Potato Head Paul Watson, he had been shot recently in the city of Long Beach by a guy by the name of Tracy Batts, who was Atlantic Drive. Now, Tracy Batts was a legend on these streets, okay? Everybody was afraid of Tracy Batts. Not just Tracy, but him and his brothers. He had 2 other brothers, Oscar Batts and David Batts. What happened was Tracy shot Paul because a Santana Block Crip gang member killed one of his brothers, right? So that was a retaliation shooting. Paul lived, right? But Paul was at the first shooting when the Bats brother got killed, and he ran. And so the neighborhood didn't think that he did what he was supposed to do. He didn't act like a real G. They told him he had to make up for it. That's why Potato Head Paul got that AK-47, came over here on Bloody Sunday in a park filled with 200 men, women, and children, and opened fire on a car filled with 3 kids and 2 women. And we were able to put the case together because, like I said, Reggie and Bobby and some of our other guys started getting tips as to who the suspect may be. And I wasn't involved in the arrest, but I was involved in the scene that day because I was working, and I responded, and I saw the carnage, and that's what it was. Now Hulk, the Earl Solomon, the Atlantic Drive Crip, he was good friends with Chico. Chico was from Atlantic Drive. So, Chico more or less witnessed the entire thing. And like I said, he grabbed a gun, 45, got in his car, and he went in pursuit of the Santana Blocks to avenge his friend. He literally almost sacrificed his life for his friend. And like I said, he suffers from it to this day. He's blind in one eye. Now, where this happened at Kelly Park, there was a police substation here. That was when the Compton Police Department patrolled the city of Compton. And normally there was, like I said before, there was a uniformed police officer and a security guard on duty, but that day the uniformed officer wasn't, he was on a day off. So when the shooting happened, all the people in the park started running towards the substation for shelter. And, the security officer was armed with a 6-shot revolver. And she wasn't about to come out here and confront somebody with an AK.
Reggie Sr., I know you was in supervision at that time. Marvin Branscombe, rest in peace, was the investigator and officer on this case. Can you tell us some of the backstories on it?
The investigation of the shooting went on for weeks and months, trying to put it all together and hold anybody accountable. My recollection is I had a guy that I knew from Santana real good who talked to me about how Chico started chasing them. I think he said in a white Cadillac or something, that Chico was driving some kind of Cadillac and chased them. They saw him chasing because he was shooting at them, and then they kind of like Fred was trying to explain, some kind of way got around him. Rather than being chased, they ended up confronting Chico, and Chico almost went into an ambush.
Yeah.
And then they lit up Chico's car. That's how Chico got shot. And this person admitted it. I got involved, and we wrote that up. And matter of fact, I think I detained the person that was telling me he was in the car. But trying to get people held accountable, even though they did shooting and all that, the way that synopsis went down, the way it was investigated, the DA said that his shooting was self-defense, my informant. And that's how he got out of it.
The Santana Blocks, they came over here deep. There was at least 4 carloads of them. Potato Head Paul was the shooter. He's the one that bit the bullet. He's on death row right now. But there were a lot of other people that were involved in this that could have been, arrested for murder as well if they got identified. But Paul was the only one.
I know the ladies got shot in the car out in front, and then Hulk got killed out. But somebody in the park
Another
got hit.
person got
We
shot
had,
as well.
had somebody got hit in the park as well.
Yeah.
There was a fireman's daughter,
She was in the car.
and she was the daughter. And then one of my best friends today, who you worked with, Reggie Sr., he worked for Compton Unified School Police, Fred Williams. His sister, his daughter, and a good friend of mine today, sister was also shot and killed that day. And her last name was Williams.
And then I know my guy, I don't know which one she was, that was connected. Used to fix all the Volkswagens and stuff. Had a Volkswagen dealership and stuff. His wife is the one got killed. Got killed in it. So I'm kind of
It's got to be the same person.
putting that together because I know he had to raise his baby and all. Because I think, like you said, thank God none of the kids got hit, but they were in the car as well.
Yeah, 3 kids in the car,
It was
two women.
a mess.
It was horrible. But just to go back on what you said, Chico was chasing the white Cadillac.
Oh, I
He
knew a
was
white
chasing a white
Cadillac
Cadillac.
was coming to.
Potato Head Paul, it was actually his car. He, because in order to try to get off from under it, he painted the car several
Afterward?
times. Yeah, and then when they found the car during the investigation, they chipped the layers of paint off, and they were able to get down to
Okay.
the original color. Yeah.
Could you tell us how many victims and how many suspects was in this case?
I can tell you, well, there was one suspect. There were a lot of suspects, but there was only one suspect held accountable, Paul Watson. Chico was a victim. He got shot in the head, not with an AK-47, probably with a smaller caliber. I want to say a 9mm or a 38, or else he'd be dead also. Hulk was murdered, so that's one victim. And then you have the female that was in the car. She was shot in the head as well. So it was a double murder. Chico got shot in the head. And then there was another person in the park that got shot as well, but it was a minor gunshot wound. Two adult females in the car with 3 kids. One of the adult females died, and Hulk died. So that's the double. That's what Paul Watson is on death row for a double murder.
And he may have had assault with a deadly weapon on the victim that got.
Yeah, I mean, they can.
Because he was the one shooting.
Yeah, I'm sure they threw a lot of stuff in him, illegal use of a firearm, gang allegation. But the 2 big ones was the murders, and that's what he got the death penalty for.
One thing about donors, the reason why Chico is still alive to this day is because his mother refused to take him off the life support because he was a donor and he wants to donate some of his organs, and that saved his life. Was waiting for someone to come eligible for some of his organs, and he miraculously came alive.
Yeah.
And the second thing is, Paul Watson will not die on death row. The state of California governor has commuted all death sentences in the state of California currently.
Yeah, nobody on death row is going to die. But they're still condemned prisoners. They're still classified as condemned prisoners. They're just locked up life without possibility of parole. So that's the story of Paul Watson. That's the end of Paul Watson. San Quentin, yes.
A lot of them.
A lot of them. And I think there's over 700 prisoners on death row.
Even the one that killed our 2 officers is still sitting on death row.
None of them will be executed. But yeah, that's this is one of the worst murders, and we've had a lot. This is definitely one of the worst because of the circumstances.